had I decided to go straight and become an academic instead of have my career take some other bizarre turns. The paper was on Hitler as a diplomat. Hitler's objectives were absolutely crazed about the most evil that a national leader has had in modern history. He was, from 1933 to 1939, one of the shrewdest masters of diplomacy the world has ever seen. He had European chancelleries eating out of his hand. And we have to understand that this crazed ideology and shrewdness as a chess player are entirely compatible with one another. So I fear the only way to deal with the ideology is to so weaken the regime through economic sanctions, through broadcasting, through help to student groups, through help to labor groups, to informing in their own native language the Kurds and the Arabs in Iran and so on, of what's going on in those other communities. There are a lot of things we can do to help weaken the regime, but I don't see a way to weaken that ideology without weakening the regime itself.
Are there any other questions?
Good morning. Maybe I'm the only Russian person in this room. My name is Nargis Asadova. I'm from RIA Novosti news agency. How do you estimate the role of Russia in the Iranian issue? I mean that Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice made several statements about Russia being constructive and cooperative in solving Iranian issue. Do you agree with her, and what do you want Russia to do?
Who did? I'm sorry, who made the comments?
Condoleezza Rice said several times that Russia is very cooperative and constructive, trying to solve Iranian nuclear problem. Do you agree with her, and what do you want from Russia to do in this issue?
I certainly don't see anything publicly. Secretary of State has more information available to her than I do, and there may be something the Russians are doing cooperatively behind the scenes. But if you look at President Putin's public statements, he's being about as uncooperative as it's possible to be. He is doing what he can to keep Eastern Europe and our allies and friends, such as Poland and Czech Republic, from participating in a missile defense system for Europe that would help protect Europe from Iranian ballistic missiles. Iran is working on, essentially has had for years, a joint ballistic missile program with the North Koreans, and they are involved heavily in continuing to extend the range of the Shahab, their ballistic missiles, so that they can reach and threaten Europe. There's, I think, no really objective dissent to that proposition. And once they have nuclear weapons, which could be as soon as a few months to a year or two, maybe a little bit more than that, we just are not sure, at least I'm not. But once they have nuclear warheads, they will be able to lean on Europe to allow them to dominate the region even more than they can today. Personally, I don't believe it is in Russia's interest to allow Iran to have nuclear weapons and to dominate Russia's southern flank, but the Russian leadership apparently sees it differently, and they seem to be doing everything possible to undermine our ability to check Iran's nuclear program. And as I said, the Secretary of State may well have access to some other information, and if so, I would think that would be wonderful. If Mr. Putin is being extraordinarily difficult in public and doing something privately to help, I'd be a little bit surprised, but it's not impossible. It's certainly the sort of thing that might happen. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Director Woolsey. Saeed Ganji, I work with the National Union for Democracy in Iran. I must say this to you, most of the stuff that you talk about, I 100% agree. These are the stuff that a lot of people are talking about. The question, the, I guess, $21,000 question is, why is it that we don't do anything about it? You touched upon the Radio Free, Radio Farda. You talk about VOA. I have no clue who those outfits are being run by who. It seems to me that some sort of a ghost is running them. Because anybody that I talk to try to tell these people VOA is one of the most watched, basically, TV program that is simply is being seen in Iran. A lot of people, they have satellite. We are in contact with a lot of these, basically, ethnic groups, a lot of students. Right now, for example, in Shiraz, students have been on a strike for the past 9 days. You don't hear nothing about it. Trust me, the problem that you talk about, you're absolutely right, and a lot of people recognize it. But the solution is a lot easier than what you think. If this country and the free world end up supporting these students, the labor, Mansour Osanloo has been captured in the jail for a long time. We don't do anything about it. I'm sorry.
Dr. Ganji, is there a question?
Well, but my question is, why is it that we don't do anything about it?
Well, Winston Churchill was the author of many wonderful sayings, but one of my favorites is that the Americans always do the right thing, but unfortunately only after they've exhausted all other possibilities. And I'm afraid we're still in the exhausting possibilities mode and not in the doing the right thing mode yet. Just with respect to the broadcasting, testifying a couple of years ago before the Senate Homeland Security Committee, I was asked what step I would take with respect to broadcasting to Iran, and I said, well, I'd take every penny for public diplomacy away from the Department of State and give it to Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and ask, these are the authors of South Park, by the way, and ask them to do the same thing, if they would please, to Ahmadinejad that they did to Kim Jong-il in Team America World Police. You know, one of the things that Radio Free Europe used very effectively was satire. And when you have a pompous, authoritarian, theocratic, totalitarian, genocidal maniac like Ahmadinejad ruling a country, and polls indicating huge degrees of dissatisfaction with him, not only because he's a megalomaniac, but because he's not running the economy either, then why not make fun of him? I mean, we have lots of young men in the streets of Tehran and elsewhere who probably would be somewhat entertained by a scabrous and scatological satire of the sort that Trey Parker and Matt Stone lean toward. It's only one whimsical suggestion, but we need to take the gloves off, both in terms of what we broadcast to that part of the world and the way we deal with sanctions and all the rest. If we don't take the gloves off, short of force, we are going to be faced within a matter of months to a few years with the question, why didn't you do something when you could? Now look at it. You have to either use force or let them have a nuclear weapon. And so I very much agree. I hope we can move out of the first part of Churchill's categories of American behavior and into the second part as soon as possible.
Well, please join me in thanking Director Woolsey. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.